Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, my personal commentary of the shows. Each episode is treated as a school project, starting with 100 points and 1 point removed for each error. Continuity errors, plot holes, plot devices, grammatical errors, anything I can think of. And of course, most of this video is still photos to prevent copyright claims. Today's episode is Bread and Circuses, another alternate Earth show where the Enterprise comes upon a modern-day Roman Empire. Remains of the USS Beagle, which had been missing for 6 years, have been found near this planet. This is the 23rd century term for junk in the trunk. The first point is lost. Since they don't find any bodies in space, they automatically assume that all of them had made it off the ship safely. This planet is right out their window, is what he is saying. If it's this close, they probably found the planet before they found the wreckage. Here is the number 47, which is mentioned in Star Trek as much as they can. Just how long does Starfleet Academy last normally? They spend quite a bit of time comparing it to Earth, but in reality, they would do that to see if it was safe to beam down. That is the diameter of Earth in miles, not kilometers, so minus 1 more point. Spock won't even look at them until they have atomic power. It looks like Spock can't even bear the term television either. They're all thinking, this planet's TV looks a lot like the Nazi planet TV, but with Romans instead. And they're like, cool, gladiator movies.
You like movies about gladiators?
Chekhov can't handle all the carnage. The next point is lost since Kirk automatically calls it Rome of the 20th century, not any other. William B. Harrison was part of the Beagle crew, so that's proof that survivors landed on the planet. The top of a cliff is probably the worst place to beam down to. The next point is lost for the captain and first officer beaming down together. Minus 1 more point for not beaming down with security. And another point lost for not wearing local clothing, since they were able to see what they wore on the view screen. The episode starts with some 20th century Earth bashing and some Spock and McCoy bickering. If the Prime Directive is in full force, why are they still in uniform? These policies are pretty much a waste of time since they pretty much broke the Prime Directive 79 times in 3 years. Here come the boys in the hood. Another point is lost for McCoy's unusual comment, since it is simply a plot device to say something about Spock's ears. Didn't Spock ever notice that people speak English on every planet they visit? This is his favorite song from The Who, and I'll take another point here since the last thing escaped Roman slaves would do is keep wearing their slave outfits. Spock gets a chance to be a smartass, and he's still blown away that they speak English on this planet. This looks like the same canyon from a Deep Space Nine episode involving the Jem'Hadar. And you should never ever wear cutoffs. For being a pacifist, Flavius wants to kill them all the time. Wait a second, isn't this also the entrance to the Batcave? Look, it's Dr. Ataz. Now we know what time period he went to before his planet was destroyed. Septimus asks a very direct question to Kirk. Kirk's response has a familiar ring to it.
I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back with him.
Spock is looking for some friends. McCoy tries his diplomatic skills, but it backfires immediately. Flavius just wants to kill them. Kirk contacts Scotty to count how many people are in the area. He says 12, but I only see 10. He must have counted the cameramen. The next point is lost for the captain's log talking to who? And how? Or is the captain's log just the way he thinks to himself? The Hodgkin's law of parallel planet development simply states, this is a good way to save on the budget by using sets from the 20th century and pretending we are on another planet. Spock wants to know who the hottest rock star is. Septimus truly does not believe that the stars are giant balls of gas burning billions of miles away.
I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away.
Septimus is truly a sun worshipper, but doesn't go into detail, and even the closed captioning refuses to give out any spoilers. Spock has a thing about magazines with gladiators. The ads in the magazine here are as over the top as the ones in A Piece of the Action, so minus 1 point. This could be taken in more than one way, which would make this an incredibly controversial statement. They seem to be helpful and peaceful, but when Kirk asks for help, his advice is for them to leave. Now he's anti-immigration. Looks like Captain Merrick has made it big on this planet. On this planet, they are playing the 2020 liberals' I'm going to unfriend you if you voted for that guy game. For a vegetarian, that's an odd thing to say. This is starting to sound like the Hunger Games more and more. It looks like John Merrick failed the Kobayashi Maru. McCoy finds it odd that there would be sun worshippers on a Roman-style planet. So minus 1 point for none of them asking what the sun worshipping was all about. Septimus warns them about the police, but has them dread as slaves instead of study locals to fit in, which will just get them into more trouble. Either they are refusing to steal decent clothes, or just aren't smart enough to figure that one out. So -1 point for poor camouflage choices. I bet this was added so the audience can try and figure this one out on their own. You know, it's remarkable how this land looks in no way like England.
You know what's remarkable? Is how much England looks in no way like Southern California.
Flavius is pissed that they never heard of him. No wonder he wanted to kill them. Kirk tries to ask about the sun now, but his timing is way off. But they never make the connection that sun worshipping is really about crops and good weather, not about peace and freedom. And obviously their choice of clothing got them caught really quick. This captain's log is only 2 hours after the other one, and he is still talking down to the audience again, so -1 more point. And that looks like the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They may speak in English, but their buildings are labeled in French. And how does he really know what the bars are made of? Hey, is this the same hallway the giant cat ran through? Kirk does some name dropping, and surprisingly, it works. Here we learn the slaves on this planet slowly got medical coverage and pension plans, which means slavery is a socialist idea. And they slowly learn to be content under this socialist ideology of slavery. Now that Spock and McCoy are in jail together, they have plenty of time for petty bickering. Did you ever notice whenever he starts talking about sun worshipping, the bad guys show up? There goes Flavius. Now they're going to try their patty cake routine that they learned on the Bob Hope and Bing Crosby movies. Spock gets to pinch one of the guards. They get a few seconds to think they're free, but he has definitely become a politician. This episode would be a PETA nightmare today with all the rugs on the ground. And why would anybody eat a sparrow? And now they're into cannibalism and prostitution. Either he is lying about the meteor damage, or the Beagle got hit by more meteors in the 5 years after they all left the ship. And he says they went ashore, even though he's also said the proconsul knows all about them. That's why Kirk says come ashore too. But if the planet has 20th century technology and they know everything, they would have figured out the spaceship part. He wants to keep their planet a secret so the Federation doesn't come and run everything for him. Obviously, they are liberals who think bashing conservatives twice will hide the fact which political party advocated slavery. Now, in this round of petty bickering, Spock is wrong about the numbers of the first 2 world wars. They're like 3 times higher, so -1 point. 37 million is closer to World War II numbers. And Captain Merrick seriously doesn't seem to give a shit about what happened to his crew. He really sucks as a captain, and just likes the perks of being a Democrat, politician, since he has no interest in getting himself or any of his crew off the planet. And why does he think Kirk will just bow down to his orders and have his crew beam down, just so they won't spill the beans on this planet's dirty little secret? Of course, I don't think the Enterprise has ever sent a recon or rescue party, and he really thinks Kirk is concerned about 2 people getting killed over 400. Kirk calls the Enterprise, and incredibly, Scotty speaks to him through the fire, just like in Harry Potter. If he doesn't say what they want to hear, they will kill him, just like any good true-blooded socialist leader would do. Now Kirk is going to try playing some poker. And for some reason, this is like the only episode where they follow the Prime Directive. The proconsul is just eating this up since he knows how powerful the Enterprise is, but knows Kirk isn't allowed to use it. I'm pretty sure this means Scotty was about to send a recon party, even though they never do. And -1 point for this condition green, since it means Scotty can't do anything, even though sending an undercover rescue team down would be extremely easy. Didn't Sark say something like this in Tron?
Will receive the standard, substandard training, which will result in your eventual elimination.
Captain Merrick gets more moronic all the time. Did he forget that he failed academy training? And this was all his idea too. What a moron. There they go off to play the Hunger Games. And this turned out to be an excellent screenshot. Scotty is making this ship's log, but since some time has passed and he is actually recording what happened since, I can't take a point. His plan is to knock out the power grid, but I am going to take a point since he doesn't send an undercover rescue team. The communicators have GPS, so he knows where they are. James Doohan would make a good pirate. Instead of saying I, he'd just say R.
You! Not bad, you! Not bad! All right!
Now we're going to see how gladiator games were really made in the old days. Is Name the Winner like American Idol? Only here the audience decides who dies? You can tell this is an old show since they are on the scaffolding without safety straps. -1 more point for a faraway planet using Earth time. One thing about this stage is that it's impossible to take points for looking like a TV stage. This is sexism at its worst. Why can't they have female gladiators dressed like that? Yes! Doesn't this look like something out of Robin Hood? With the way they fight, their rating is going to drop like a rock. -1 point for obvious stunt doubles. How much money does it cost to hold half the population at gunpoint? Typical of an executive producer, only concerned about rating. The proconsul and Kirk get involved into some banter while watching the carnage. You'd think the proconsul would be more interested in taking over the Enterprise, but he doesn't. He just wants all the people to come down for the gladiator games. This is one of the rare times that Kirk isn't involved with the fighting. And even during this fight, Spock and McCoy can bicker. And why is this called a foul? The gladiators got face shields to protect them and Spock and McCoy got nothing. It wasn't fair at all. Wait, Kirk wants to kill them? Since they're living in cages, they must be immigrants from the border. Looks like the proconsul is a creepy old man. I wish we could get a better look at that art in the back. There it is again. And Drusilla with some fake fruit. I feel sorry for Spock and McCoy. They really missed out on a lot of what Kirk goes through. Poor Kirk, his ED problem always acts up at the wrong times. So she offers him a drink with some magic potion in it to help that problem out. And we all know what this is symbolic for.
Well, I could stay a bit longer.
That's what they call it on this planet. Now a communicator is missing. If they have them, how come they never tried to contact the ship instead of Kirk? It looks like Maricus was with Drusilla too. Kirk gets his answer on why the proconsul does all this. And it turns out he is a little strange and doesn't like men. You must die shortly and because you are a man. That's his proof there. See, he said it again. Kirk gets some last hours as a man. Is he going to die, or are they going to force him to have a sex change? We will never know. And what about Spock and McCoy? Looks like they're going to get sex changes too. That's not fair. They didn't get a chance with Drusilla. But he'll drink to that. What a pervert. Back on the Enterprise, Scotty plans to knock out power to the whole planet, not just the city that they're in. That's going to make a mess. This show is going to start with an execution. If Scotty sent down the rescue team, this would never have happened. That's what the proconsul said. I told you he was a pervert. The gladiator just wants to make a reference to his favorite movie. Flavius comes to the rescue, but gets killed in seconds. And it looks like the executioner got shot as well. Kirk finally gets his chance to do a fight scene. I think this is reused footage of Chekhov looking back, but I don't remember him nodding the last time. The power goes out. This is scary, so Kirk calls for guards. And with this guard firing blindly in the dark, I think he just killed all the production crew. They say the same thing in Star Trek V when Scotty breaks them out. -1 point since he isn't aiming at the lock. And this is really quite dangerous in real life, since the bullets are going to ricochet in all directions. Now the guards are aiming at each other, so Proconsul says swords only. These guards really suck though, since there are 6 against 3, and they're losing. Merrick finally does something right and gets stabbed in the back for it. I'm sure the Proconsul was sick of him and ready to do this for a while too. Watch the Proconsul jump as they start firing. According to this captain's log, very little time has passed. At the end, they discuss the Sun Worshippers and how it was all wrong, and Lieutenant Uhura says, "You 3 are dumbasses. You were down in the middle of them and didn't realize they were talking about the Son of God the whole time." He's like, "Well, shit, I didn't even notice that." This might not be accurate here, since they are just assuming what comes next. Shout out to William Shatner for saying these lines, since he is Jewish. Of course, so is Spock. Maybe that's why they both missed the whole concept while they were on the surface. And she's like, "I have to explain everything to these 3. So, who were the Romans? William Brandley was the policeman with the most lines, and in his 100 screen credits, usually played a policeman. Lois Jewell was a model and played Drusilla. Ian Wolfe was a volunteer medic in World War I and has a whopping 300 screen credits to his name. We'll see him next year on Star Trek as Dr. Atos. Bart LaRue was the announcer for Name the Winner. Jack Person was a master of the games and in his 115 screen credits usually played a bartender, a bouncer, or a drunk. Rose Reason played Flavius, has 70 screen credits to his name including the Bus Stop TV series and Here's Lucy. William Smithers played Maricus, who had a great stage acting career and has 75 screen credits, mostly as a villain. He was on Peyton Place, Executive Suite, and most notably J.R. Ewing's The Enemy in Dallas. Logan Ramsey was born in Long Beach, California. His father is famous for being the one who sent the Pearl Harbor air raid attack message on December 7, 1941. He has 136 screen credits to his name, a character actor on almost every television show produced, including Mork and Mindy and the original Battlestar Galactica. And shout out to Lieutenant Uhura for being the only one on the ship who knew what sun worshipping was all about. Bread and Circuses, one of the best Season 2 episodes, covered a parallel Earth story about a modern-day Roman Empire, slavery under the disguise of socialism, 5 Spock-McCoy bickerings, 4 fight scenes, and a retelling of Christianity. And the only time they didn't break the Prime Directive gets a score of 81%. Thanks for viewing. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists and click that like button, the share button, and that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.
Simba, what do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, come on,
well,
give Simba, come on. We told you ours. Please.
Well, somebody once told me that the great kings of the past are up there, watching over us.
Really?
You mean a bunch of royal dead guys are watching us?